Fuzzy Biker here in the Fuzzy Biker Garage, and I've got a little bit of a tale to tell y'all. That's my Royal Enfield Himalayan back there. It's got about 26,000 miles on it, and I just got done putting a little over 1,000 miles on it in 2 days. One of those days I rode 640 miles. The crazy part is I could have kept on going, but I ran out of daylight and it was raining. And so kind of an interesting tale. Who rides a motorcycle like this? You know, I call this my dirt bike. Of all my motorcycles, this is the one I would least ever expect to ride that far. But who does that? Well, I did it, but there's reasons why. I wanted to go down to the pig trail, which I read my internet wrong, and I actually was not on the pig trail, but I was close. And then I wanted to go to Mina, to Talamina Trail. At that campground, I checked my weather radar that morning, and it said it was going to rain in Mina. It was going to be heavy rain, not just rain, but heavy rain. So I thought, well, I'll go down to Eureka Springs and ride that trail, or what I thought was a pig trail. Kept on going south until the skies got heavy and the air got cool, and I decided I better turn east. Did that, turned east, went up north, a couple hundred miles later. So now I'm probably, I don't know, 300 or 400 miles into the ride, and I'm in Salina, Missouri. Stopped at McDonald's, had a cup of coffee, and looked at my maps, decided I was going to take this rather circuitous route back to Iowa, totally avoiding Kansas City because I just did not want to go to Kansas City. You know, 411 cc's, do you really want to go through Kansas City on a bike like that? I had been using this new Garmin here, this thing right here, and it's an older one. I got it for free. A friend of mine gave it to me. Baxter Cycle had it in their shop somewhere. It was owned by somebody else who had set it on this hilly, curvy road settings, avoid all the highways and all that. And I kept going back and forth with it. You know, worked good on the first part of the trip because those are the kind of roads I wanted. Now I'm trying to get home, or I'm trying to get north, you know, away from this rainstorm. And it just kept sending me, you know, different signals, go this way, go that way, and it kept rerouting and all that. And I really wasn't following it. From Salina, I took 50 west, and I kept thinking I was going to go north on these offshoots. So between the way this thing was working and my mental picture of what I thought the roads were in that area, and the fact that I was tired and, you know, I was fearful of rain and all these neat things, I kept making bad decisions. I don't know. And I ended up in, you know, I ended up with all these miles, and pretty soon I'm on the outskirts of Kansas City. And the bike is just running like a dream. By the bike was so comfortable. I got this massive seat on here, you know, very comfortable seat. And it has a good suspension, you know, loads of travel, did the highway very well. The engine produces lots of torque. It just ran and ran and ran. It was such a good feeling, you know. So I am going into Kansas City. I'm, you know, 50 miles out, and I can see a giant rain cloud over Kansas City. Now, I looked at weather radar earlier, and it said I was going to get wet. You know, I was expecting to get wet, and I was really expecting to get wet before this point. So I rode into Kansas City. It had rained, but it wasn't raining. Traffic was low. The bike performed like a dream. You know, the temperatures were cool. By the way, I had on my Royal Enfield Nervic jacket, and that is an excellent piece of gear. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But the weather was cool. The bike was running really well. I mean, you know, everything was just rolling, you know, and I just felt really good, and got in there, and the traffic was, I don't think there was much traffic going over 80. I had my GPS on, and I could see how fast I was going, and it kept bumping between 78, 79, 80, 81 miles an hour. And that bike was, you know, it was doing really good, really good. I just kept thinking, you know, I could stop anytime and get a hotel, but I just kept thinking, well, you know, I can be home by this, you know, I thought it was going to be 10 o'clock, then it was 9 o'clock, and, you know, anyway, so I just kept going north, and I got to St. Joseph, got on Highway 71. Well, by the time I got on Highway 71, that runs right through my hometown, or, you know, my old hometown, and also the town I'm living in now. So I just thought, wait, I'm almost home. Kept on going, you know, now I'm on 2-lane blacktops, and life is good, you know. It's getting dark, you know, dark around here is about 9 o'clock, and so, you know, it's getting there, and I'm about 50 miles south of here, and it starts to rain. I think the town is, I can't think of the name of that, Clorinda maybe, and on 71. It starts to rain, just sprinkling, just starts to sprinkle. Now I'm 30, you know, that's 50 miles from home. Now I'm 30 miles from home, and it's a pretty constant, steady sprinkle. And then within 10 miles of home, it was just a rain. And if you look at the bike, it's just filthy because, well, the bike's always filthy. I always ride my bikes, so the last 10 miles, it was, not only was it dark, it was rain. I mean, it was real rain. And I had on my HJC I-90 helmet, which was working fabulously. and I had my, my Nervic jacket on, my Royal Enfield Nervic jacket, which is the best rain jacket. I can't say enough good about that jacket. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The other thing is I had on my Tourmaster gloves, my winter gloves, so my hands were dry and warm, and I was just really comfortable. And I had 14 hours in that motorcycle that day. I got on this thing at just after 7. I got home at just after 9. I just felt so good. The bike did so well, and I was just so energized, and everything worked right. And even when they didn't work right, they worked right. It was just a real heck of a good ride. Some details, I guess, on this whole trip, the 1,000 whatever mile trip, I burned several tanks of gas. My worst tank of gas was 41 or 2 miles a gallon. My best tank of gas was 61 miles a gallon. Most of them were in the high 50s. Almost all of them were in the high 50s. My worst tank of gas was when I was burning through Kansas City. And, Highway 50, the closer I got to Kansas City, I think that's a 4-lane. I just opened the bike up, burned through Kansas City, I even got lost in Kansas City because I'm good at that. Anyway, that's where I got my worst mileage, and my best mileage was when I did what I thought was the pig trail, curvy down through Eureka Springs. Beautiful ride, by the way. And some of the problems I had on the ride, the biggest problem I would say I had overall was this Garmin. I got this Garmin for free. I'm glad I had it. And I will say right now, I want a Garmin. I love having this thing. It made the ride better. It made the ride easier. It provided, lots of information that I needed and wanted. And I would just say that this is an older one, and a newer one would be nicer. So the thing was hard to use. It was set up by the previous owner to do these circuitous routes, and it was trying to reroute me off the interstate all the time, and send me different directions. So that was confusing. I have readjusted it. I did all the settings, so now it should work the way I'd like it to work. And I also know how to set it if I want to put it back to the hilly settings. I'm totally sold on the idea of a Garmin, especially over a phone. Why is that? Phone gets hot. It's hard to read in the light. The phone has it might get wet. It has water problems. Where this, I rode in the rain. It worked fine. I liked being able to know what direction I was going. I liked to know what speed I was going. I liked it showing me what the speed limit was in the certain areas I was in. I'd like a better Garmin. I'd like the new XT or XT2, whatever it's called. I'm going to do a lot of research on that and figure it out. So the other big problem I had was I read the maps wrong for the pig trail. I'm not quite sure how I did that, except that I was very excited to go. I wanted to go. I was going by myself. I just looked at the numbers wrong. I looked at the data wrong. When you're sure you're right about something, you don't bother to double check. And I think I glanced at it and I read it and I thought I got it right. So therefore I knew what I was doing. And what happened is I was actually north of the pig trail. I was almost to the pig trail, but north of it. I think I did a little bit of it. But so what does that mean? That means I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to go back soon. And I want to go to Mina and ride the Talamina Trail. I did that a couple of years ago on my Honda. I want to do that again. I'd like to do it on this bike, or maybe on my 650 Meteor, Super Meteor. I'm not sure which one to take now. Anyway, we'll get that done. Speaking of the Super Meteor, that's kind of a dilemma I got. My favorite motorcycle is always the last motorcycle I rode. That's kind of a joke I have because, my joke is I'm looking for a motorcycle I don't like. So far I haven't been able to find one, but I'll keep looking. So my favorite motorcycle is the last one I ever rode. I just took this on that long trip, and I just had a ball on it, and it worked so well. And I would like to take this again to go down there. Now, having said that, I've got my Super Meteor set up for the long haul. So what would I take the next time I go? And the answer is I don't know. We're going to figure that one out too. So the bike itself, it's a 2001 Royal Enfield Himalayan, 411cc, single cylinder, air cooled, oil cooled, single overhead cam, 2-valve, 5-speed transmission. It's got a kind of a tractory engine, It's got an incredibly long suspension, 4.9 inches in the front. I think that's 200 millimeters. 7.1 inch suspension, monoshock suspension on the rear. That's 180 millimeters. It's got this massive 21 inch front tire. It's got a 58 inch wheelbase, which I believe is 1,473 millimeters. It's got a decent amount of weight. It's 430 pounds. It's an adventure bike, not really a dirt bike. I have taken a dirt biking, and it does feel heavy when you do that. But as far as going off-roading on things that are not dirt bikey things, go on gravel roads or old dirt roads or log roads or things, it does that just fine. It's actually great for that. That 21 inch front tire and that massive suspension. It's the end of its era. You know, they're coming out with a new model, hopefully in the next month or two. I think I'd like to get one of those. Kind of torn on that because I've had so much fun with this bike. You know, I already said it earlier, you know, this is my favorite motorcycle of all time. Why should I trade this off? Well, because the new one should be very similar. We're going to take the new one for a ride when it comes in. We'll figure that all out. Hey, I'm a rambling man today, aren't I? 640 miles, very proud of that. On a Himalayan, I've done longer days before, but never on a Himalayan. If you know anybody that's done more than 640 miles, please post in the comments below. I'd like to see their video or hear from them. And you know, it was not a challenge. It was something that just happened, and I felt, you know, when I got home, I felt good. I had energy, and you know, life was good. It was a good, great ride. Life is good, my friends. Life is good. Now, if y'all are interested in a new used Royal Enfield, Triumph, classic British bike of any type, need parts, doodads, thingamajigs, a Nervik jacket like I got, a beautiful Royal Enfield Nervik jacket or something like that, you know, gloves, helmets, blah, 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 any of that good stuff, get yourself over to Baxter Cycle in the mighty metropolis of Marnie, Iowa, or go to baxtercycle.com. Tell those fine folks that Fuzzy, that's me, Fuzzy Biker sent you. Life is good. It's going to be a rainy day today, so I'm going to go out early this morning. It's supposed to rain after lunch. I'm going to go ride some motorcycle. Y'all do the same if you can. Wahoo! Yippee-yi-yay! Yippee-yi-yo! Down the road we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Turn the radio on. 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 Beautiful day for a motorcycle ride. Ha 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 ha.